ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Joe Emilio show. We haven't done this in quite a while. It's been a minute, ladies and gentlemen, and I am so excited to be doing this once again. I hope I can start doing podcasts more often now, but we'll see how things pan out. Tonight, I have a very special guest, ladies and gentlemen. He is the president of the ABC party. His name is, Philani PG. Remember, I knew there was like a acronym of some kind. PG Mavundla. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado,
You right.
I'm gonna let him introduce himself completely
Let him.
properly. But here he is, ladies and gentlemen, the president of the ABC, for your viewership. Pilani, thank you so much once again for joining me on the show. It's an honor to have you on. And yeah, please, for the people who are listening, for the people who are tuning in, tell them who you are and what your party's all about.
Thank you for hosting us this evening. Our party, as you have said, is ABC in short, which stands for Abantu, Batho, Congress. Those who are not very clear with the Nguni language, Abantu means the people, Batho means the people in Sesotho, and then Congress. As we all know that on the 29th, we're going into the national election. The APC has come out very clearly, which is what is enshrined in our constitution as well as our policies, that what we stand for, it is to fight for the land that was taken from the monarchies in this country back to them. And that should be the system that we'll be using as a country. We want to make this categorically clear that it doesn't leave anyone out who prescribe to our belief. As a result, in KZN, we've come out very clear that this time around, APC is fighting for an independent Zulu state. That's where we are. There's a whole lot debate about it, just as it is in the Cape in the Independent. But the bottom line is we're forging ahead, is what we want to see happening.
Fantastic. I'll be honest with the viewers as well. I told Mr. Polani before we went live, as you guys know, I'm part of the referendum party. I support Cape Independence. I also support KZN Independence. I believe that as long as there's a group of people
I believe
that
that
want self-determination or want independence from a parent state, they have a democratic right and a democratic process to pursue that. And that leads me to my next question for you, Pilani. You know, I'm very new to the idea of KZN independence. I mean, I heard murmurs about it. I heard people talk about it before. Maybe we should start with: is there a history to KZN independence? Because you mentioned, the Zulu Nation and the monarchy, and I've heard in interviews before that you've said, before South Africa became what it is today, there used to be the Zulu Nation, right? So, do you maybe just tell us a bit about the history, and do you think that's related to why there's a call for independence?
Well, first of all, we know that we all aspire to be part and parcel of what will make us to benefit something good out of it. I know that is not where the question at the moment, but that's where we will be going to very soon. It is very clear that in South Africa, that the South Africa of 1910 that was configured at that point, it is not working for the people of KwaZulu, which is what is called KwaZulu Natal today. And that is what is really pressing for the call as it is happening right now. We can go to history, but I'll try to be short on it. The truth of the matter, the Zulus had their own states, which was KwaZulu. there are settlers that came into this country, and when they came to KwaZulu, they were given some parcel of land to settle around the Durban Harbor, as well as on the bank of Othugela. For instance, we all know about the John Dunn family. We all know about the Collins of family. So we're coming a very long way where we have lived along one another. Obviously, we can't run away from the history that some of these people also exploited that. That is a reality. But sitting where we are now, we are simply accepting that the South Africa as is, it is not working for the people of KwaZulu. It may be working for the people in other provinces, but it is not working for us, hence the call. And the way we're seeing this working, we are of a strong view that if we stand up and become an independent state, we'll live a much more better life, and we aspiring a life that will not have the amount of criminality that we have, the amount of institutionalized corruption that we have, the cadre deployment that we have. That means you don't have to know when to be qualified to do something, you just have to be a comrade. That is the Zulu independent state that we are aspiring.
I like hearing some of the things you say, but I do have a question. I I like the vision, but do you think, because we as Cape Independence, uh, how do I say, people who aspire for Cape Independence, a lot of people say, yeah, but the ANC is not going to allow it. Do you think the ANC will allow for KZN independence? What's your feels?
Well, remember, we have a constitution in this country. Obvious APC doesn't like it. We believe it doesn't work for the natives. Maybe there will be more people that will say it doesn't work for them. But we have a constitution whether you like it or not. That is a reality. Just like we have a flag, whether you ban it or you don't ban it, it's there. Now, in the current constitution as it stands, you've got chapter 14, which is simply talk about self-determination. Now, if the people of KwaZulu Natal are turning around and saying, listen, we want to have our own state in terms of the South African constitution, there's nobody that has right to stop them. I was very happy to learn about Craig Phillips' son that has gone to UK to take the letter to say, listen, this is how we're seeing it in the Cape. And believe me, next week, Tuesday, we're having our own meeting where we are mooting our own visit that we're saying we want to visit the king in UK and say to him, as you're well aware, that when you took over Natal, the Zulus were there. Those are the people that you found there. And we're at a point now where we're saying, we can't argue and fight about it. It's a time now is such that we are civilized. So let's sit down and talk about it. And we feel that you, the first one who should be supporting the people of KwaZulu out of what they want. And Emilio, let me tell you, we're not going to leave it there. We will put the reasons why we feel it is time for this now. Amongst reason for this is that any infrastructural development that we ever had in this country, it has totally collapsed. Let's start by the fact that I think 3 days ago, when I shared how much we're owing in terms of the debt with IMF, we were sitting on 4.7 trillion rand. Where is the money to pay that is going to come from? It would have been nice if this money was borrowed and it was used for the good use, to develop us as a country. But the truth of the matter, we have deteriorated and we owe so much. The question is, what was this money being used for? I think me and you will agree that there was quite a lot of tranches of 20 billion that went to SAA. SAA still can't fly. That is the reality. They can't fix even one plane. We know that in this country we used to have entities like Dinel. I've always said I don't even think we can still produce a single helicopter. Let alone that at some point I was lucky to be deputy mayor of Tegwini. When I got to Tegwini, I realized that out of 27 wastewater plants, 24 of them were run to total failure. So we only had 3 in reality. Now you've got a city that have a beautiful sea, beautiful beaches, but there's more sewer to it than the sea itself. Now all these things are building up to what we are talking about.
Yeah.
Yesterday, the numbers of the unemployment were out. We are sitting at 33% unemployment. We can't really say we are proud in how the way things are being done in South Africa.
Yeah. I just want to mention very quickly for those of you that are watching, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm sitting with Philani Mavundla. He is the president of the ABC party, who is advocating for KZN Independence. We are talking about that. I'm asking him how he envisions the KZN Independence state and amongst other things. If you've just tuned in, leave a question in the live chat, please. I will make a note of it, and there will be a chance for questions. If obviously, I've got questions for him, so if we answer some of those questions, then I won't show them. But I mean, if you guys have questions, please drop them down. If they're interesting, I'll put them up. Right now, I wanted to ask Philani about, let's step back a bit, because currently in KZN, you guys have been around since I think 2021. Correct me if I'm wrong, and you had a coalition with the ANC. Can you see like that? I don't know how the people feel in KZN about ANC. Okay, in the Western Cape, clearly they don't vote for the ANC. They don't like the ANC. But in KZN, I'm not sure. Okay, I'll be honest about that. So this is why I'm asking you. Does it not worry your voters that you guys were in a coalition with the ANC? I mean, they were the ones that were in charge for 30 years. You just explained all the failures that this government has produced. Are you still in coalition with them? Is your coalition different? Like, do you guys get along? Just explain a bit that coalition and why people shouldn't hesitate to vote for you.
Joe, thanks for the question. It's very important, and we need to be honest as we answer it because it becomes part and parcel of everything. You will remember that we formed the coalition with the ANC in Etegwini in 2021, but we also had municipalities where we formed the coalition with the IFP. For instance, in former Ladysmith, which is now Alfred Duma, we work with the IFP. Now, it was not just the ANC that we work with. In Tannhauser, we work with the IFP because the ABC take at that point was that our members who were councillors, wherever they are, they understood the material condition rather than us, where we were sitting, where we are as a leadership. Fortunate or unfortunately, in Etegwini, myself, I was part and parcel of the discussion as a councillor there. And of course, we formed the coalition, which I must say other parties were very much against. That coalition lasted for 12 months, which was quite a difficult 12 months. But I can safely say the people of Etegwini benefited out of them because I was quite prepared to lose the position, but not to lose what I stood for. As a result, I ended up being kicked out in that municipality in November of 2022. But I just mentioned earlier about the infrastructure problem that we had at Ewin. I learned about all this as I was in that coalition. And I spoke about it. I came out about it. I complained about it. And I even wrote a 58-page quarterly report that I submitted to the leadership of APC and ANC on the 26th of March 2022. And then 3 months after that, I had my second quarter report that was putting things on the table as they are, because that's the way we do things in APC. But instead of the ANC looking at it as somebody who's constructive, it was viewed as I was very much destructive. So therefore, the relationship couldn't last very long. And all the ANC needed to do was to remove me and put somebody who will say yes, yes to everything, whether it's right or not right. So the answer to you, the coalition between APC and the ANC has been very problematic. That is where we've been. And asking about us moving forward, what will happen? I think even the blind now can tell that the ANC that we have is not the ANC that this country once had. That is a reality. And it seems as if nobody can change that. That is where we are.
And I would agree with you. I'm glad to hear that you've learned your lesson. I think the DA has also learned their lesson. There was something else I wanted to ask you about, which is, for the Western Cape Independence crew. They get a lot of attacks about, oh, you guys are racist because you want independence. Oh, you guys are protecting the white interests or whatever, blah, blah. Even though the movement has quite a sufficient amount of colored people, black people, white people, it's a very mixed movement. But regardless, I've noticed that when it comes to the KZN Independence, they can't really call you racist, but instead they call you tribalist. Do you want to address that?
Well, I would love to address that because we need to put things into context. The truth of the matter, in France, the French are in charge of France, and nobody called them tribalists. In UK, in England, the English are in charge of their England. Nobody called them tribalists. We can go back in Europe, we'll have a very long history as to how Yugoslavia and so on were formed and how they parted ways. But if you hate something, you always find a name for it. The truth of the matter is that chapter 14 of the Constitution, which talks of the self-determination, was sponsored by nobody else but the late Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, the founder of the IFP. But as we speak right now, the leadership of the IFP believe that I'm sick for saying what I'm saying, or for APC to say what it's saying. The ANC is saying exactly the same, that KZN is part of South Africa. South Africa is part of Africa. But the iron about this is the fact that in Sudan, South Sudan was sponsored by Thabo Mbeki and South Africa. That's why it exists today. Now, when the Zulus are saying the same, I mean, the shoe is on the other foot now. I'm sorry for the Cape Townian, because then you'll be branded the racist. I don't mind it to be branded the tribalist, because of course I come from the Zulu tribe. That's where I'm coming from. But basically, this is not about being tribalist. It is about the people of KwaZulu Natal who are sick and tired of being part of the failed states of South Africa. That's where we are.
And you know what? It's exactly the same for the Western Cape people. We're also tired of where the ship is going, right? The ANC as the who are in control of the ship being South Africa, are basically running it, sinking it, and at a very fast pace. And you know, you've mentioned some of the issues in South Africa. You know, Western Cape is a little bit better off than the rest of the provinces, but that doesn't mean that, you know, we must forget about the crime in KZN, the murder rate in KZN, the I mean, crime alone. I've heard through watching guys like Big Daddy Liberty and stuff like that. You know, it's basically become a mafia state, and I'm sure, you know, you guys have aspirations to just end that and bring safety to the people, and that at the end of the day, crime, unemployment, power, like when I say power, I mean electricity, education. Those are just some of the main issues that South Africans want the ANC to solve, but the ANC is reluctant to solve them. And I think, like you just said, people, whether you're in the Western Cape, KZN, are just hurtful now. We want to live in a prosperous country that is non-racial and has opportunities for all. So in that regard, I do agree with you. And I do have another question about just sticking to the whole tribalist theme in terms of like a follow-up question.
Like a
Um, how do you guys feel about, like, let's say KZN is independent now, okay? What is it? Are you going to have the normal immigration laws that exist in other countries, so people can choose? You're either a Zulu nationalist, or not nationalist, sorry, but like you're KwaZulu, whatever the new country's called. You're that citizen, or you can choose to have dual citizenship, or you can be here on a work permit, or are you, as some people think that secessionists do, which we don't do, but a lot of people think that Western Cape is just going to kick out black people and kick out. It's not going to happen. Same question to you guys. KZN Independence. Are you guys just going to kick out people that you don't want, or is there going to be immigration laws that are fair?
Well, first of all, we need to understand that the independent Zulu state is not a Zulu state that will have no Indian, that will have no whites, that will have no colors, that will have no Chinese, if we have any. No, it is an independent Zulu state that will have all the people that believes that the Zuluness way of living life is the way. And the Zuluness we're talking about is the one that aspires to respect everyone, to treat people equally, that has no crime or no place for criminality and corruption. That's the kind of life that we want. It's a Zuluness that will say to us, before we export our mineral, can we really not exploit it to the point where we're going to benefit out of that? Before we import poultry, footwear, or textile or clothing, can the Zulu people not make these products? Do we really have to import it from overseas? That's the kind of life that we're saying we're aspiring to. Back to your question, if you go to Eswatini and happen to have a citizenship of Eswatini, regardless that you are white in your skin, or I'm black in my skin, or I'm Asian in my look, you become a Swati. That's what you become. So basically, that's what we are saying. In terms of the citizenship, those who are quite clear of what really works for the people, we should need to go down and get everybody's buy-in. If you were to go into the Arab countries, you'll find that they've got three different types of citizenship. You have the citizenship of the people who are originally or natives Arabs. You have the second citizen type, which is clear that it mixes. You have the citizen of the people who are not of Arab origin at all. So basically, there are a number of citizenship that you can be working on. You can start by those who are South Africans and say this is their first citizen, and those who will come after this is a category, and so on. In the Arab countries, they don't care where you're coming from. If you're coming to open or start the business and employ their people, they accept it that way, and you get a certain type of citizenship. Even in America, you have people who get citizenship because they've got so much money, and then they get that class of citizenship. That should not deter us. What is more important is to have an independent state that is investor friendly, that can create jobs, that is not going to have 33% unemployment and have 28 million people on the social net. That is not sustainable. So basically, that is a kind of the independent state that we're looking for, where we can create more middle class that can build their own homes for their families instead of the government carrying the burden. That's a kind of an independent Zulu state we are looking for.
Yeah, and sounds amazing. I'm glad you brought up the you want a investor friendly country. So I'm gonna ask you some questions about this uh, envision that you have for KZN to be its own country. Would you guys still support ideas like BE, NHI, EWC, even if you rewrite it in your own way? Are those policies that you guys agree with?
Well, remember that sometimes to all of us as human nature, we love to blame everything if it seems to be not working. But the truth of the matter, when the affirmative black economic empowerment, as it was when it started around 1997, it was on the basis of the success of the Malaysia. That's what it was. And we all had no problem with it. And to be quite frankly, Joe, the white established companies benefited because of the police. I say this because there's very few that will find who benefited out of the percentages that was laid out by the government. If they ever existed, they were there for 2 or 3 years and then they eventually died. And I can say more on this in the construction industry, where I've been involved for many years, that those who were part of the PE deals, and none of them exist today. I can name a lot of them. Now, and then you are left with the select few, which is very clear that the police was intended for them, hence they're there. Because look at the business that they're in. It's not the type of business that they will even put a tender. But let's come back to the APC as a policy. How do we see this? We know that during the national part government, the farmers on their farm, they were being supported by the government. Lots of businesses were being supported by the government. Hence, you had your land bank, your IDC, and a whole lot of other institutions that are there in the homeland or the Bantustan, where things like KwaZulu Development Finance Corporation, while in South Africa, we had things like Small Business Finance Corporation. So APC is saying the businesses, just as they're supposed to be contributing on the social corporate investment, you can deal with the PE differently in a sense that it can be a taxable amount that is paid by the corporate to support people to start their business. Now, in that way, one will need to qualify to say, okay, this is what I want to open. This is the kind of support I want. The submission of that business plan and everything is submitted. Because on the other side of the coin, what most people are not aware of is that every municipality have got something called LED, local economic development. But if you were to ask how many businesses have been developed, I'll be surprised if you find any. And the reason for this is because there's nobody policing it to ensure it works, to ensure it's got the intended outcome. So basically, in our view, it's been exactly the same with the PE that if we are not policing it, it will go into the wrong direction, and then you will not see the result of the intended outcome. The facts remain. There are people who have been given the opportunity to thrive, and they have. Until this day, you've got corporates who are running monopoly business, and the state is saying nothing about that. But whether we like it or not, we can't wish the big enterprises away. They're the ones who are paying our tax. They're the ones that are giving us secure job, whether we like it or not. All that we need to do, we need to say, to balance the scale. Here we are. And APC is saying you need to put a bank or a lending institution that is not going to say to you, Joe, who was your father, how many millions you have, what is the value of your RTP house, because that should have nothing to do what you are aspiring to do as a business. And if we do it any other way, we don't see it work, because the one that we've put in instead, it has put us in a position where people are given projects, they don't complete this project. A good example is the project in Kiani, where it should have given people water some years ago. There's a whole lot of other white elephant that has not been completed because people got what they wanted. They forgot that it was not about them, but it was about the community. So that's where we are.
Okay. So you would have it, just not in the current form that it exists. It sounds plausible, and while I may not agree with BE entirely, because as you mentioned earlier, like, it hasn't benefited, it hasn't done what was promised, right? I mean, in theory, BE sounded like a really good idea, just like NHI right now sounds like a really good idea. But whether or not it can be implemented to the point of what is promised, where the outcome can be positive, and that everybody can have quality healthcare, that's a whole nother story. Now, if KZN gets independence and you guys are able to have a thriving economy, and your version of BEE works, your version of NHI works, your version of EWC works, if you have a policy on that, then kudos to you. If you make it work, awesome. I mean, that's the whole point of an independent state, right? It's like, once you gain independence, you can do what you want in that state, as long as the people obviously vote for it, which is democracy. That's all good. Speaking of policies, I tried to look for your manifesto. Are you guys still gonna launch it, or did I maybe not? Did I maybe miss it somewhere?
I think you miss something. We've got it, and we are only political party that I'm aware of that have it in English as well as in isiZulu.
Okay.
Our policies as well. I'll get the office to make sure that they have it sent to you. But yes, we've got all this. We've launched our manifesto about a month ago. So yes, it's been out there. It does exist.
Okay.
You've touched on NHI, Joe. I do need please to come in on that.
Go ahead.
Uh, you, you know, the reality is there's those who have, maybe like me yourself, will have a medical aid. If we happen to be in trouble, it's easy for us to get to the hospital. But our take is very simple. Why are we not fixing the infrastructure that is there? We also have models that have worked. For instance, in KZN, we've got Inko Albertil Hospital is a triple P model. That hospital is about 20 years old, is still fully functioning. If you go in there, you know that you'll be taken good care of. Their systems are working. Now, one will ask a question as to when are we going to fix the state infrastructure that is there? Because every year there's money that goes to the infrastructure. What happens to all these billions? What is it that they are fixing? So those are the questions that sometimes need to be asked. Just like when we see more potholes in our road than the road itself, there a question need to be asked. What is happening to the budget that is supposed to be maintaining the road? That is what we need to know. So for me, we can change policies every day if nobody is ensuring that whatever is being put in the kitty, someone is making sure that is being used for what it was allocated for. So basically, that is where we are with this whole thing. NHI is there now. The president have signed. The question, though, is that even the private hospitals that we have, will they have a capacity? The hospital that we have, what are we going to do with them? Are we now going to leave them as a white elephant? Obviously, they are old, so they won't be white elephant anymore. Maybe we'll call them black elephants. I don't know. But the reality is they exist. They are where they're supposed to be feeding certain part of the communities. You can't expect the people from Mlazi now not to go to Mshien Hospital and go to Westville Hospital. It's not going to work that way. Partly, I believe that this is a fat lie. It's just not going to work.
And I agree with you. And to your point, there was a man named Mike Setis. He's from the Free Market Foundation. He voiced the exact same concerns that you have, that there's a issue that nobody's talking about, which currently the infrastructures that exist are not doing very well. The government hospitals that exist right now are failing, and there is money for healthcare, but the outcome is not the same. Again, the government hospitals are just failing, right? So now you want to add NHI onto that. What makes you think that the ANC are going to be good at implementing this? And like you said, it's about making sure that funds go where they must go. But of course, the ANC doesn't want to do that because, well, corruption. I'm seeing some comments coming through. I'm seeing questions coming through. I just want to remind people I will have an opportunity for some of these questions to come out. I see a very good one right now. So just give us a few minutes. I just have one or two more questions for Philani. Once again, if you're joining, I am with the ABC President Philani. We are talking about KZN Independence and some other views as well that he has. And yeah, I think it's been a very interesting conversation. And to add to the interest, I'm dying to know, Philani, because this is fascinating to me. Like I said, I heard about KZN Independence, right? I heard like, oh, there's KZN Independence. And I'm like, really? Oh, that's cool. But then there was a video of you on X that I saw. You were at the IEC, and you mentioned that the Free State also has calls for independence. Please tell me about the Free State. What's going on there? So your party is going to advocate for Free State and KZN independence. Is that correct?
Now, because of us starting very late engaging our members in the Free State, we have not fully pushed for that. We've said right now we're going to start with KZN. And as we move forward, we need to talk about the issue of the Free State. We all know that the Lesotho, as it is configured today, is not the really Lesotho. The Basotho land, it is the entire what used to be the Orange Free State. So if we're talking about the fairness and giving back to whatever was taken wrong from the people, it can't be correct to say Free State is part of South Africa. It is not. It's a mapping that was configured by somebody else, not by the Basotho. They were not part of it. In actual fact, it was taken from them. For South Africa to be claiming Free State as part of South Africa, it is still no different from what happened when the settlers separated us and what we call a democratic government doing exactly the same. There is no difference. So basically, the difference is that it was being done by white people, now it's being done by the African, but it is exactly the same thing. We are saying Free State and the Lesotho is one and the same thing. So that is where we are with that. In relation of me refusing to sign the code of conduct that was in English without being explained to me or interpreted to me, it had nothing to do with me being able to speak English or not to speak English. But my mother tongue, my language, needed to be respected. As we respect English, as we respect Afrikaans, there's no reason why can't isiZulu can't be respected. Also considering that in this country, you've got around 16 million Zulus in South Africa. So we need to respect the fact that the 11 plus official languages that we have in South Africa, we need to treat them equally the same, provided the owners or the speakers of these languages, they respect their language, just as I respect Zulu. Just as I'm communicating with you in English is because I respect the language that this station speaks. It wouldn't make sense that I come here and then I prat or kiabua or nyateta. It won't be okay because the people in this station, they are speaking English. The hence we're conversing in that language. So that was our argument that we are saying in KwaZulu, you'll find a bag of potato that is written, potatoes are tapels. Why is it not potato artapels amazambane? Or just amazambane because the majority of us who are speaking is Zulu and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So those are some of the things that we need to balance because the lesser unhappy people, the better all of us will be.
Yeah, I see. I see nothing wrong in your request. You're 100% right. So just to understand, going back to the whole land thing. So basically, I'm showing maps so that people can get an idea here. So KwaZulu Natal, that would be its own state, and Free State. Are you saying that Free State and KwaZulu Natal are not going to necessarily be one country? You're saying that Free State is also going to be its own country, as well as KZN is going to be its own country. So they both want independence on their own. Okay.
Joe, what we are saying is that if we want to do justice to the land question in this country, there's only one way that we know, and it's not going to help us to cry and mimic what doesn't exist or what never existed. You had the kingdoms in the country. Just as we had the kingdoms of the Zulus, you had the kingdom of the Basutos, you had the kingdom of the Balupetis, and so on. All we are saying, that is how South Africa should be reconfigured.
Okay.
So the Free State and Lesotho is Basotho land as the country on their own. What is today known as KwaZulu Natal, we're saying it is the land of the Zulus. And our definition of the Zulu state are the current KwaZulu Natal borders. We don't want to go to the history issues to say the land of the Zulus used to go as far to what was called Maputa, which today is called Maputo, was go as far as to Gaza, which is today, which was Kwagasa. We don't want to go there. We just want to confine it to the current KwaZulu Natal borders. Remember, out of all the provinces in South Africa, Western Cape legislature, they have their own constitution. What does that tell you? They have their parliament, which is a legislature. What does that tell you? In KZN, we've got our own KZN legislature. We should have had our constitution signed, but during the time when the IFP was in charge, ANC was running away, telling, not wanting to support it to be signed. And then obviously when the ANC took over, they decided that they are not going to do anything about it. And we are saying that was part and parcel of the self-determination. It's just that it couldn't happen at the time in 1994. And we all know this. And there were agreement of how these things were supposed to be working. Even the name of KwaZulu Natal, the legislature was supposed to sit and agree on an appropriate name than having this province that got a name and the same name. So basically, these are the realities that we need to go back and say, let's reconfigure, but above it all, for the betterment of our people, not just the borders.
Yeah. And you mentioned IFP. Does the IFP support your calls for independence? Have you spoken to them?
Now, the chairperson of the IFP in KZN has come out and said, no, this is a daydream. This will never, ever, ever happen. So we want to prove that this will happen. It may not be a very short-term project. It will take us some years, but the truth of the matter, it's going to happen. All we need to do is to go all out and prove that in reality it is the best option.
Yeah. I've always said since hearing about KZN Independence, I've always said to people like, listen, if the Western Cape gains independence, KwaZulu Natal is probably not far behind, and vice versa. If you guys get independence, Western Cape is probably not far behind. So it's a matter of time, really, at this point, because you've got two provinces in South Africa that are wanting independence. And I've seen the data for Western Cape. Some people disagree with the data. Fine, that's okay. You can disagree with the data, but I've yet to see. Have you guys done a study or a poll to see what the people on the ground say about KZN independence? If they're for it, against it?
Remember, there was a study that was done by Social Research Foundation, which exactly did the same for Western Cape. So basically, that start putting you somewhere, but we are at the point where we're saying, in terms of data, it's very important that we're talking about numbers that are scientific, so that we understand if we have to convince more people. But as it stands right now, we're meeting like on daily basis with some academic and the people who have interest to ask the question as to how this is going to work. Just this past Saturday, we met a group of Muslim people in the morning in the evening, we met some African academics. Tomorrow, we're meeting some academics, some business people. We're explaining. They have interest because they want to know how it's going to work. And the more we explain, is the more they're starting to understand that it does seem as if this is one way that will take us out of the quagmire that we find ourselves.
I like that term, quagmire. Yeah, that's great. Do you think you'll be doing like a poll? So you're basically working towards getting like a full blown scientific poll done, so that you can gauge basically what or how much support you guys have for independence. Correct?
Remember, here we are in politics, numbers speak.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
If on the 29th we found ourselves having done better, it therefore means our agenda will be the one and the only agenda that will be advancing. And we are fighting for that. We may even end up forming coalition with the devil that has the longest horns, because that devil supported the issue of the independent state of Amazon. So basically, that is the agenda that we're driving at the moment. Now, if that agenda proved not to be so at the moment, all it means is that there's more work for us to go back and convince people. But I can tell you now that the unemployment rate of 33%, the ANC has no way of lowering it. There's no way. So basically, those are the things that we're going to go out and really talk about, show it to the people, and also put the fact that if South Africa is sitting at 28 million people on the social nets, give it another 10 years. If we 10 million to 38 million, you'll end up with all of us in the social net with nobody paying any taxes. Because why should we pay when others are surviving without paying anything? If you have a government that doesn't create employment, it means more of us will be unemployed. That is precisely what we need to go out and preach for people to understand. And we'll be putting a research, a study that has been well researched that talks to the numbers as to what is happening. In my own family, I've got more people who are unemployed than those who are employed. That is the reality.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a reality for a lot of South Africans at the moment, which is why they're so upset with the ANC. And at the moment, the ANC is trying their damnedest to get as much support as they can just before the elections. Um, all right, I think that's all the questions I have for now, because I want to leave some time. I only have an hour of your time, so I want to respect that. I have some questions that have come in, and also some statements that I think you might want to see from some of the people watching. So some of the stuff. Okay, so let me address this first. Thank you so much, Gavin Comer, for the 140 Rand super chats. Much appreciated. Thank you so much. And let's see. There was a question here from RJ. His question is comparing Cape Independence, who is culturally diverse, to KZN Independence. How does the KZN Independence movement see diversity fitting into their ideal state? I think you did cover on this earlier, but maybe you want to just very briefly address it again.
Well, in KZN is not so much diverse as people from outside looking at it, because we have been living along one another for quite some times. Yes, the people of Indian origin, they still got special days that they have for them, which in our view, we just say is Diwali and so on, and it ends there. Yes, Amazulu have their special days that they have, which we also want to say they are no longer respected in the new South Africa. For instance, we no longer have the Tingans Day, we no longer have the Shagas Day. I think the Afrikaner as well, they say we don't have the Krukas Day anymore, or the Day of the Vow. All these issues talk to the sensitive issues that all of us are very close to, and we are saying we need to sit down and agree that this is important to Amazulu, that just as it will be important to the Christians or to the Muslim or to the Afrikaners or whoever. But above it all, we need to respect that we need to coexist.
100%. All right, so okay, I'm gonna give, this was a comment, but I want to be fair to the people watching. This is someone who clearly doesn't support KZN independence. He says this guy's crazy. After ANC kicked him out, now all of a sudden he's calling for independence, and this party is very opportunist anyway, with limited support. KZN independence will never happen. So do you want to say something to that, or must we move on?
No, we can't leave the views of other people, negative or positive. It is very important to address them. I'll be very interested to give Sandile Ngumalo the amount of reasons that got ANC starting not to like me. But secondly, Sandile need to understand that APC went into its policy and elective conference in April 2021 before we got into any coalition with anyone. Therefore, anything and everything that we are doing as a stand at the moment is what is in our policies. It's not something that some crazy guy has woken up and decided to talk into it. Otherwise, if that was the case, the leadership of APC would have kicked me out already. Furthermore, to Mkajwa to understand these things, APC won 121,000 votes for the first time when we got into the local government election in 2021. That shows some kind of support and respect from some people out there.
No, hey, that is an awesome achievement, because the referendum party is trying to get 100,000 votes for this, and this is going to be our first election that we're a part of. So, I mean, if we can hit anywhere close to where you guys get that, that's an achievement. So well done on that, and clearly, there is support for what you guys are talking about. I mean, I've seen on your social medias. I mean, anybody can just quickly Google, go to your Facebook, go to wherever, and they'll see there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people that wear your shirts that chant, free KZN. So I can see there's support. The question is how much, but we'll figure, all that will be told in time. I want to show. I showed a negative comment. Let me show a positive comment. People of KZN must be given a chance for the referendum. I know a lot of Zulu people who are in favor of secession. So there you go. You get both sides of the coin there. Let me also ask you this. This is an interesting question. I'd like to know what your thoughts are on this one. So RJ asks, would ABC settle for federalization? Or federalism?
Yes, APC will settle for that without questions.
Okay, cool. Because in a way, it still gives you guys what you want without necessarily completely breaking away. All right. Let me see. There was one more comment here from Morabane. Morabane, thank you so much for tuning in. You should consider contacting France Carnier or the Social Research Foundation, because I've heard they have a poll that shows strong support for Zulu independence. I think that's directed at me. And I will definitely, because Philani did mention the poll earlier, and said that they show strong support. So I'll definitely reach out to France and get the data there. Philani, it's coming to the hour. Is there anything?
It's coming to
I'm
our
gonna give like maybe another 2-3 minutes for people to ask questions if they have any more questions. But is there anything you want to add?
thanks, Joe, for that. All I want to say is that on the 29th of this month, which I'm only saying is only 12 days left, uh, we are going to prove that the call we are making for KwaZulu independent is not some crazy idea, but it's what the people of KwaZulu want. It's just that nobody has been putting it in naked as we are putting it. And we are not prepared to put a reverse gear or to put it on park. Instead, we are going to put our foot on the accelerator and accelerate more. Where the ANC comes back into power, which it will not, or somebody else takes over, KZN want to be out of South Africa and become an independent state. That's where we are. We're not going to do what others have done to your guys in Western Cape to promise the referendum. And then when they got to the power, they decided no, they still want to please somebody else somewhere. That is not how we are wired. That's not what we're going to do. We're going to stand for what we believe in, because if we have to change, it will mean we need to go and have a conference that will then decide otherwise. But in terms of our standing policy, that is our ground. That is where we are.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm sure you guys are keeping a close eye on what's happening in Western Cape. So, I mean, if the referendum route works for us, it might work for you. But again, whatever you guys do, we might follow. I don't know. We'll see. It's a very interesting time in South Africa with two provinces that want independence, and a third one as well, Free State, might also be in the works. That's insane. Well, not insane in a good way. I'm not. I don't mean to sound insulting. I mean, I'm saying it's like wow, it's extraordinary. I just want to mention before I let you go, two things here. We got one more question for you from the audience, also from so it's Maharbani previously said a comment. He's got a question now. How are your relations with the royal family and the IFP? Do you have decent relations? I imagine they would be important coalition partners in future. So I'll let you go after this question.
I think you'll know that I'm a personal advisor to the current king, myself and Professor Chablad Mapalala. So my relationship in the royal house is a good one. But secondly, the issue of the independent state of the Zulu state, I presented it to the late king, King Goodwill Zwelithini, some years back, and he accepted it. I further presented it to the current king. He is quite clear of what all this is about. Back to the question of the relationship with the IFP, the president of the IFP, as much as IFP is bigger than APC, but in terms of our office, we are equal. With Uhlabisa, we are in good talking terms. There are no issues. So basically, APC and myself, we don't have any enemyship between ourselves and the IFP and the Royal House.
Awesome. Well, Palani, I wish you all the best. Marabane also saying that, by the way, the new electoral reform bill will allow premiers to call referendums. So that's good news. So who knows? Maybe in the future it might be easier to gain independence. But on that note, Palani, I want to thank you so much for giving me an hour of your time. I know It's 2 weeks until elections. Trust me, I know this is a very, very busy time for all of us. So thank you so much for giving me an hour of your time. Thank you for answering our questions. And like I told you before the show, and I'll say it again, I even more so now support KZN Independence, and I really do wish you guys all the best. Thank you.
Thanks a million.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Philani. Let's do that again. It's been a while since I've done this. Okay, give me a break. That was the president of ABC, the ABC party, ladies and gentlemen. Very interesting conversation had with him tonight. Learned a few things about the history. Learned a few things about their vision for for KZN. And while I may not agree with some of the things, policies that he mentioned, I mean, if they get if KZN gets independence, well, then that's their business. They got to run things how they want to run things. It's just like when the Western Cape gains independence, we're going to run things how we want to run things. We're no longer beholden to the ANC. And in case you didn't know, the ANC has signed the NHI bill, ladies and gentlemen. I do believe that it's going to be fought tooth and nail in the courts. So that's a good thing, I guess. But who knows what the landscape of South Africa is going to look like, because I don't know. Now the ANC it sounds like the ANC might still be in power come the end of May, or come in June, or whenever the results come out. South Africa right now, it's a very interesting time, and right now we have 3 provinces. I thought it was just 2. It's 3: Free State, Western Cape, and KwaZulu Natal that want Cape independence, that want independence in their own right. So Free State wants to be their own country. KwaZulu Natal wants to be their own country, and so does now Western Cape, which we've heard about already. Obviously, if you've been following my channel, you would have known about that. So let me know in the comment section, guys. What did you think? How did you feel about this conversation? Do you support KZN independence? Do you not? I think that's some interesting things to come. There are some comments that I wanted to go through. Thank you guys so much for engaging and chatting. So here we go. Charles Van Onselen saying, sorry, Joe Emilio, but I have yet to see anything regarding KZN independence, just rumors. Federalism is an excellent idea regarding KZN. And listen, I've heard about KZN independence for like a year now. So, I mean, I think it's very small at the moment, the movement. I mean, I'll check out the research from that Mohabane mentioned. I really want to check that out. But I think it's still small. I think it needs a bit of time to gain a bit of traction, but it won't be difficult to gain traction. Everybody hates the current government in South Africa, so that's all good. And then Slippery Pickle saying, I live in Durban, ANC, sir. You guys can finish that sentence. Let me see if any new comments came in very quickly. And thanks once again, for all the super chats that came in tonight. Thank you. It's greatly appreciated. Let's see. ABC will go. So we got one from Mr. Longa. It says, ABC will go far. This political party has achieved a lot since 2020 when it was established. I can see that Mr. Mavundla is determined to make the best of KwaZulu Natal. I can see that too. I gotta be honest. He's very passionate about it. And let me tell you something. If the ANC kicked you out, well, you were probably doing. I mean, not necessarily, right? So the ANC kicks out people for different reasons. But I mean, it sounds like he was trying to do the right thing. He's a principled guy, and obviously the ANC kicks him out because, like you said, they want people that say yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, and he wasn't just agreeing to everything. So. A man with principle. So yeah, you're very welcome, Mr. Longa. Thank you for tuning in. I see you guys bantering in the comments. That's okay. So Mooners says South Africa is going to fail just like the Soviet Union. Most of its productive taxpayers are moving away. Best to get out while one still can. And look, I used to have that view, but I think there is hope in independence, whether it's Cape Independence, whether it's KZN Independence, Free State Independence. I think there's hope in that. And people should be allowed to choose. I've always said that. That's the democratic way, right? So yeah. So Mahabani saying, that's the funny thing about elections. You can have all the support in the world for a given policy, but the first party to stand for it still has to fight to be taken seriously. 100%. Cool. ANC only cares about the ANC. That's right. KZN independence will happen before the Cape. Ooh, listen, I'm not opposed to that. I like really, because again, whether Cape independence happens first or KZN independence happens first, either one will follow each other, right? So if Cape independence happens first, I'm sure KZN will then happen. If KZN happens first, Western Cape will then happen, and then probably the Free State is not far behind. I mean, are we seeing a reshaping of the southern part of Africa? I don't know. It's all very fascinating, very interesting to me. And again, I support what the people want, man. If Free State people say they want this, let them have it. If KZN people say they want this, let them have it. If the Western Cape people say they want this, let them have it. So I've got something from Rob who says he's walking the Green Mile. Sorry. Please arrange a KZN Cape Independence panel discussion with Donald Brown, all the cool cats. Do you want Donald and Cape Independence and KZN Independence on the show, on my show, virtually, or do you mean like in person? Because Donald Brown does in-person debates, and I don't know if it's feasible for the KZN crew to travel all the way to Cape Town to have a debate. I mean, I'm not. Maybe they would. I don't know. Donald would have to ask them. KZN will be an interesting side guest. So will the Western Cape. So yeah, interesting times, ladies and gentlemen. Interesting times. Anyway, I'm not going to be here any much longer. I just wanted. I miss doing this. I'm not gonna lie. I miss doing these live streams. I'm sorry, guys, that I haven't been producing as much. As some of you know, I'm with the Referendum Party. They keeping me busy. I'm producing content for them. More content coming soon for them. And I'm trying to do the newsflash episodes as much as I can. Yeah, NHI, man, I wanted to do that so badly. But it's just, life is busy, guys. I'm sorry. Hopefully after elections, things will calm down and I can get back to regular scheduled shows. But anyway, your show, you're a great host. Oh, thanks, man. Thank you so much. I hope you subscribe, and more content coming soon. Secessionist panel in Orania, central location. Oh, that would be good, wouldn't it? Mara Bonnet, you know what? I should have you on the show sometime, man. Jeez, I want to have so many guests on my show, but again, it's about time. It's just about time. I'm like, really, I had to book Philani like 2 weeks in advance just to make this show happen. Because again, just crazy at this time. They can do webcam debates. Easy to establish a panel these days. Yeah, we can do that. Of course. Sorry. John Dawes, thank you. Vote Referendum Party. If you want Cape Independence, you got to vote for the Referendum Party. I do have a Referendum Party playlist. If you guys want to know more about the Referendum Party, I spit facts about them. Don't listen to what the mainstream media says. But your vote is your vote. Like, I mean, vote for whoever you want to. But if you want Cape Independence, you're going to have to vote for the Referendum Party. At least, or the most important vote is on the provincial ballot. So you can vote RP there, and then national, regional, you can do whatever. But provincial, you need to just RP it right there. Okay. Um, do the referendum run give KFC t-shirts? Actually, we do give t-shirts, but I think I was going to try and make a joke about food, but I couldn't think of a fast food restaurant that has blue in it because the referendum is like gold and blue. So I was thinking, okay, what fast food restaurant has blue and gold? But I don't think there is one. So yeah. UIM should support referendum party. Thanks for the great work, Joe. You're welcome. UIM, listen, guys, it's no secret. I don't trust the UIM. Sorry, I don't. I just don't. I don't trust Neil De Beer. I'm not apologetic about that. So yeah, sounds grand. Actually, haven't done YouTube stuff in ages. Need to start something myself. Oh, dude, you like? By the way, guys, go to Marbani's YouTube channel. He has some very good. I think 10-minute episodes of just compiled history of South Africa. It's really good. It's really, really good. So he did it all himself. I cannot imagine the amount of work hours he put into editing, or editing hours he put into that. But please go and check that out. Gavin saying referendum party official website. Yes, please go check that out. So yeah. Roman's Pizza. Yeah, you're right. There you go. Referendum party gives t-shirts and Roman's Pizza. How did I forget about that one? Pizza place. I'm thinking about burgers. Like I was thinking of like McDonald's, no. Steers, no. Burger King, no. Okay, I forgot about Roman's. That's a good one. It's blue and red, but still, there's blue, right? I got a t-shirt, or do I have to buy one because I'm white? So I get a shirt. No, you just gotta come to one of the what's it called? Visibility events. I'll hook you up. Link what? Remind me, please. Link what? Because Gavin can also help you out. RJ. So answer me, RJ, and then I'll go. Yeah. So I fish and chips is better. Is there a fast food place that offers Gatsby's that's blue, like that has the color blue in it? That might also work quite well. I will say this before I go. It's a little bit of an exclusive. I don't know who follows the referendum party on social media, but if you haven't, we are going to be doing something interesting tomorrow. Look out for that in the news on this channel. We're going to be ruffling some feathers tomorrow, put it that way. So wish me luck on that. I've got to be up early tomorrow for that. Hope the Western Cape won't become woke after independence. I'm worried the DA will make the Cape woke, Joe. Maybe they jumped in bed with globalists. Okay, so I should probably have a stream soon before the elections to explain how independence works. I'm going to very briefly make this a very short answer, but after independence, now again, I'm making this very short, okay? There's a lot of things that need to happen before I'm about to say, but basically, in a nutshell, okay? Once independence is had, the DA may not even exist in the new country. I'm going to leave it at that. You guys can summate what you want, but I will do a live stream one-on-one, us, and I'll try and give a little bit more detail on the possibilities of what could happen in the new country of the Cape. I'll try and do it next week because elections are coming up very, very quickly. Marhabani. Oh, okay. Gavin, would you be able to? Oh man. Let me see if I can find it quickly. YouTube. I said YouTube. It still picked it up. Yeah, this is it. Here we go. I'm dropping the link in now. Sorry. There we go. All right. Boom. This is his. This is his YouTube channel, ladies and gentlemen. And the videos, it's under his playlist, The Fourth Dispensation. Let me actually, why don't we do this? Boom. So here's his, if you are looking for it, there it is, his YouTube channel. So go to the link I just shared in the live chat. He's got a few things on the referendum as well, referendum party and stuff like that, interesting conversations. And this is the playlist I was talking about. You can see they're not very long, 15, 20, okay, some of them are long. But part 1, 2, and 3 are very interesting and very well done. So if you want to watch something interesting, give that a watch. Anyways, okay, I said I was going a while ago. I'm gonna go now, but I will do a live stream. I promise. I will find the time now after I'm done, and I'll set up this live stream, and you can talk with me, a candidate for the referendum party. We'll talk about Cape Independence. You guys can ask me all the questions you want, and I will try my best to answer them as best as I can. But remember something. I am representing a party that is a single issue party, which is about bringing forth a referendum for the Western Cape people to decide. I do not have all the answers for what a independent Cape would look like, but I will explain more on that in the stream that I have in the future. Okay. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much once again for tuning in. Thank you for all the super chats. Thank you for the engagement. Thank you for the questions. I hope you enjoyed the stream. With all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you at the next one. Cheers.